Ladies and gentlemen, grab your gloves and get your compost ready. Stepping into the ring is the perennial powerhouse, the sultan of soil, the beast of the beds, where permaculture reigns, food grows wild, community roots run deep, and yes, the garden punts hit hard. Freedom starts in the soil. This is the Guerrilla Gardening Show.
Welcome back to the Guerrilla Gardening Show. I'm Mike with Mike's in the Garden, and that's Sam with Central Florida Abundance. What's happening, Sam?
What's going on, Mike? What's going on, y'all? I've been out working in the field today, out harvesting in my garden, and today I was harvesting a plant that is pretty near and dear to me. It's one of my favorite plants. I've grown it every year for at least the past 4 years, and I always save my seeds, replant. They even reseed themselves. And I try out a few new varieties every year. And the plant I'm talking about is Roselle. It goes by a lot of names, Jamaican sorrel. Uh, I think some people refer to it as the Florida Cranberry. It is not. It's not the cranberry hibiscus. It's a different plant. It's Hibiscus sabdariffa, and it is in the hibiscus genus. Um, it has hibiscus like flowers, but they produce these um, tart fruits, and they're really calyxes. Um, what you eat off the plant mainly, what people will harvest after the flower has gone, the bracts, the little pieces behind the flower swell up around what becomes the seed pod, and that's what you can mainly use. But the leaves are edible as well. They're also a little tart, which is nice. And then the stems, you can I've been seeing that you can use them as fiber. If you want to go through all that process, but they make a really good fiber. A lot of the hibiscus do. Canaf is also in the hibiscus family and is used predominantly as a fiber plant. But I got a couple clips if you want to pull the first one up. So I'm growing a couple types of Roselle this year. And the main one that most people are going to be familiar with is the red Roselle. And that's going to be in the first clip. And the red Roselle, I mean, the tea that you would make from it, most people are usually used to buying it dry by the dry petals, they'll call them. And you make this drink that sometimes called Jamaica or Roselle tea. And so this is the red Roselle, and this whole patch here, if you want to pause it just on these. So these are the calyxes, and this is the part that you're mostly going to use, and you can tell, they're very juicy. This is the point. This one right here in front of us is like peak ready to harvest when the tips of those bracts curl over. You can keep it going now. And so this whole patch of Roselle reseeded itself from last year. I didn't plant any of this. And once it starts to produce fruit, every variety that I've had always sprawls out on the ground. There, actually, if we pause, you can see one of the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very typical hibiscus flower. Same kind of flower you'd see on okra or, your tropical hibiscus or the cranberry hibiscus. But, with these, we don't use the flowers. We let the flowers get pollinated and produce seeds, but then we usually harvest before those seeds are mature. Have you ever grown Roselle? Have you ever eaten it?
I have not eaten it. I've had Jamaican sorrel as a drink.
Yeah, okay. That's the
Yep.
same thing.
But I mean, I've got cranberry hibiscus that won't go away, but I'm definitely I have Roselle seeds. I got some from Galt's when I was there, and a friend also sent me some, so I'm not sure. I got to double check the variety, but Yeah, I'm interested in getting some going in the spring.
Yeah, I mean they're all pretty good. Like I said, I've grown out a few varieties. Um, what I prefer this over the cranberry hibiscus. I think it's less prolific. It's not gonna it does reseed itself, clearly. But you're not just gonna have it popping up everywhere in your yard. Usually, and I think also because with the Roselle, you're encouraged to harvest the fruit. Whereas the cranberry hibiscus, it's a dry fruit, and people don't use that. They just let it all spread out. Um, and something, if you want to pause right here, I don't. It's been a problem this season. Something's been eating the calyxes, and they eat the seeds and everything.
Hmm.
Um, I have not seen what insect it is or potentially animal. I think it's like potentially a worm or slugs, because I find holes on the outside first, and then it usually develops into that. But even with, you know, the wildlife getting a lot, we have harvested so much Roselle this year. We included in our harvest boxes. I think we've done almost 14 harvests just
Wow.
for the boxes. And I mean, I've harvested at least 3 or 4 harvests just for personal use off this one patch. And there's like probably six or seven plants in this one patch. Um,
So Sam, you might have said this already. These are a fruit, so you can you can eat them, or what's the best way to consume them? And farm to table, as far as that they need to sit for a couple days, or what's your
yeah.
process?
So let's play the video and get off these gross looking ones before we talk about eating them. Um, there's some pretty ones. There's my mango in there.
Yeah,
Um, so
that's gnarly.
they are a fruit. Technically, no, they're not a fruit. But in the sense of it's a edible thing that covers a seed. Oh yeah, and the chickens were out this morning. I forgot about that. I think that's the end of that video.
Yeah.
uh, but you can eat the pieces. So those red pieces are petal like, and they're surrounding a circular seed pod. The petals, quotation mark, can be eaten raw. And you can also dehydrate them. I'm interested in trying to candy them.
Hmm.
Um, it's a fun little thing to snack on. Now, if you really want, the best use for the plant, I think, is making the drinks or syrup, and then you can use that syrup to make jam. You can make fruit leather. You can leave it as a syrup, or you can leave it as the tea. To do that, you pick the pods here, these red calyxes. I cut those off of the main plant, and they ripen over time. So, as I said, we've harvested this multiple times, and they new ones will continue to ripen for several months. They usually start in I mean, depending on the variety, they could start in September. Uh, and then some varieties will start later into the winter, and then they'll go for, a month or two. But you'll harvest the pods here, and then what I like to do is pick them apart. So I pick each petal off the seed pod, but then you incorporate all of that into water. And you can also use the leaves as well. I've done that, and it tastes just the same. So you accumulate all your pieces, you measure it out. So say you have 2 cups of Roselle pieces, leaves, seed pods, and petals. Then you would do 3 to 4 cups of water to your 2 cups of Roselle. And then, I mean, I like to sweeten mine. If I was doing 2 cups, I'd probably use like a quarter to a half cup of sugar. You could also, I like to use cane sugar, but you could also use honey to sweeten it. and really just sweeten to taste. And then you can season it with spices. I like to use ginger and cinnamon in the drink. Um, and then you strain it out. Usually I'll run it through a cheesecloth like twice. Um, and then you can enjoy it hot or cold. I usually drink a cup hot when I first make it, and then I'll, put it in a pitcher into the fridge. And I mean, we'll enjoy it throughout the week. And I've made a few jams. The fruit has a lot of pectin in it, and
Okay.
so you can really cook it down and, make a good jelly without adding any sort of other pectin. So, I mean, it's pretty versatile. You can also use it to make dyes. I've got a client who grows it explicitly for red dye.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, you'll find if you ever brew this, it does stain. Don't wear white while you're brewing Roselle tea because you get splash that on you and never come out. Um, but yeah, so this is the red one, and then we can move on to the next clip, and that's going to be two other varieties that I'm growing. And they're in a different spot. I did plant these this year. Um, and the seeds, I would say the best place if you're in Central Florida to get, I mean, really, if you're in Florida growing Roselle, Seed the Stars.
Hmm.
They're a local seed company. They sell their seeds on Etsy, and they sell every variety of Roselle that grows around here. They grow them all out themselves. And so this is one that I got from them this year. This is the white Roselle. And I was in the middle of harvesting. This was like 30 minutes ago. You can see the sun's going down. We record these episodes in the evening. So there's a lot going on here. Basically, what we're looking at is black and white Roselle
Hmm.
that is all going to fruit and has just laid out. I planted this patch a little too densely. If you want to pause, you can pause like here. Yeah. Oh, that last shot was perfect.
Go back a bit
Yeah, where
where it
we see
shows
the,
the white pods.
yeah, on these that are
Um,
laid out. It's really, there. I thought that if I planted them real dense, they would hold each other up. And it was an experiment, and I was wrong. So I mean,
so this is
they're a,
similar to what a cranberry hibiscus does, is it grows so big that it gets so heavy and it falls over and continues to grow.
absolutely, yeah. And the nice thing about the Roselle is, at least then, like a lot of the times, I'll just when the whole stem has got mature pods, I'll just cut that branch off. Um, and then that opens up the area. I'll mulch the branch and usually the leaves back into the ground. um, but if I'm short on calyxes, I'll also collect the leaves for the teas. um, but you can see this one does not have that red pigmentation.
Hmm.
um, and the red in the other one does come from I mean, I don't know. They're antioxidants, but I don't know what is exactly which kind are causing the red pigmentation. But the white is lacking that, and it has a different flavor. It is it's hard to describe because they're both tart, but I would say this one is tartar. And I've heard people describe the tea that you make from this as more acidic, more like a lemonade. Um, it's not my preferred. I will say the white one, and you can see these brown spots. I've grown out the white at least for the past 2 or 3 years, and they always get these brown spots on the calyxes. And I think it's totally normal. It's no damage, it's just some discoloration. And the red also probably has discoloration, but because it's such a dark color, you
Hmm.
can't tell. And I don't know. They just make them look less desirable. And also, I don't like the flavor of the tea as much. But we sell produce that we grow around here, so it's not all things that we enjoy. It's I like to have the variety for our customers.
Sure.
Um, because they find new recipes for things. I've had a couple people this season tell me some different ways to try the white Roselle tea to season it. Um, so I'm
Have you
excited to try
ever
that.
fed the white, black, or red to your chickens?
The chickens do like it. Yeah, and I mean it's not like I mean there's so much stuff growing that they never like decimate them. Um, but they eat the leaves. They don't really eat the calyxes. I've thrown some in their coop and they just kind of leave them alone. But
Okay.
they like the foliage. And if the seeds were mature, they'd probably eat them. Usually, I mean, it was a rare occurrence to have the chickens out this morning. I was changing their water and just let them roam. We keep them up in the coop, in the run all the time, just because we have a lot of sensitive annuals, and if they made it into the tomato patch, that would be that'd be a hard a hard day to
So
keep the
your
chickens.
food's destroying your food.
Yeah. And I mean, they do provide us with the eggs, and sometimes those end up as some of our produce box items
Okay.
for animal consumption only, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so the interesting thing, the biggest observation I've had about this patch of Roselle, the white and the black, is that if you play the video, and maybe you guys saw it earlier, if it's clear enough, the white Roselle looks pretty good. The leaves look healthy. They're typical. The black Roselle, you can see like right off in the left-hand side, the leaves are rough. And yeah, like
With the
right
black one?
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the right, I'll pause this. So, I mean, you know, these the leaves on here tell me that this plant is stressed. I mean, for one, the leaves are atypical shapes. Um, Roselle leaves don't typically they typically have either one point or three, defined points like we saw on the other one. Um, and also, they're scrunched up. There's a lot of leaf curl. And then also the edges of the leaves being very pale yellow. Um, that's really a sign of like a nutrient deficiency. And it's interesting. I mean, the first problem I had with them was uh I guess I didn't really ID the bugs. I think they were mealy bugs. They were white, kind of scaly insects that left little white powdery residue everywhere. And I removed them with water, um, pretty religiously in the beginning of the season. They're gone now, but the plant's still struggling. To me, what it looks like is that there's an issue with the roots, as if um, so a common issue with the hibiscuses, which the Roselle is, okra has a lot of issues with it. It's the root knot nematodes.
Hmm.
Hibiscus is really sensitive to the root knot nematodes, and so I mean that's what this looks like to me almost is that something's eating the roots and it's struggling, but that's kind of a conundrum as well because the other roselles are not affected. But also in this bed, you can see the yellow flowers up to the left.
Yeah.
That's sun hemp, and that's like that was my early succession cover crop in this bed, and there's still some hanging around. And sun hemp is a big nematode like repellent,
Hmm.
and it's really the associations like the microbial associations that sun hemp has help deter root knot nematodes. But these sun hemp are growing like right on the roselle,
Yeah.
and I always do that, and I always have no problems, and I still have no problems with the varieties I've grown in the past. And this is my first season growing the black, and every single one of these plants looks like this. They are starting to form their calyxes now. They're a late season one, and their calyxes are real small. You can kind of see them on here, but I think they'll become very long calyxes. and I think they're more of a dark red than a black. But I mean, I'm gonna have to talk with some growers about their experiences. I'm gonna get with Seed the Stars and you know see what their experiences were like. That's the best thing we can do is experiment and then you know see uh compare and contrast experiences with other growers. Maybe there's something I could have done differently. Maybe it doesn't like being so crowded. That that's a thought that I have, but we'll see.
Okay.
So, but overall, Roselle's extremely hardy. Um, I'd say I take the least care of this bed out of all my beds. It doesn't really get there's some the calyxes of the black.
Yeah.
It doesn't get the same EM, the microbial treatments that the like tomatoes and greens beds get. This is the sun hemp.
Mm.
Wonderful plant. I try to grow this every warm season. Oh yeah, there I did get a good shot of that.
Yeah, it's a good show.
But you can see the leaves are just
Yeah,
stressed.
curling. Yeah.
It's become a nightmare to harvest this just because they're all over the place.
Mm.
No real insects on the leaves now. That's the other interesting thing. Like it's just stressed. I think it's stressed from the roots, which is atypical. Usually, I don't have many problems with the roselle, and you can see, just an idea of how we grow stuff. This Napier grass is going to get cut down this week. Probably should have got cut down today, but life gets ahead of us.
Hmm.
Um, and Roselle does like to have full sun. So there's a lot of shade around here, but what we do, the tree line, this green line around this bed, behind it is all pigeon peas, moringa, and then on the back there's sun hemp, and you can see a banana. But we keep those things pruned pretty much just straight up so that, a lot of sunlight gets through them. Um, Really we were just using them. I was hoping they would block the wind a little bit and also help the Roselle stand, but I don't think I don't think anything's going to make the Roselle just stand unless you tie it to a trellis, honestly, which I think that's too much work. Just let it fall down, give it some
Yeah, yeah,
space.
yeah.
The other thing I did in this Roselle bed, because of the way the Roselle grows, it's tall, it's lanky. Um, I wanted to cover the ground underneath it, so I planted sweet potatoes around the edge. And I don't think you can really see them in this video, but what they
I
do
saw
is
some of the leaves. Yeah.
yeah, they cover the ground, and I'll step on them. Um, yeah, there's some sweet potato leaves,
Yeah.
these big heart-shaped things. Um, so there's probably 8 sweet potato plants planted around the Roselle, and I'll have to see. I mean, maybe the sweet potatoes encroached on the root systems, but for them just to be on every single black Roselle root system, that would be strange.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
so I should have planted the black in a different spot in the yard to see, a good comparison, but you know, you can't make everything a science experiment. Sometimes you're just like, all right, let's get it in the ground, let's get it growing, see what happens.
Well, even just, that's an experiment in itself,
Yeah.
Now it was it was a self-licking ice cream cone experiment. It just did its own thing, and now we're learning from it. So,
Yeah. And we've recorded our observations. We'll try again next season, observe, and as I said, contact other growers, see what their experiences are like, and that's why we improve as gardeners. The best gardeners kill the most plants. If you find somebody who's killed, more plants than you can imagine, they're probably pretty good at keeping some alive.
that's a hey, for anyone watching, see,
Don't get discouraged.
yeah,
It's just
do
one
not get
step to
discouraged.
greatness. Every plant that you kill.
Awesome. Yeah, I was excited that we were talking about Roselle because I don't have any in the garden yet. I need to get that. I need to get the cranberry hibiscus, most of those out, and then I'll I'll start my Roselle journey. Um, so this week we want to spotlight a friend of ours. I will let you talk about Cameron here and what he has going on.
Yeah, Cameron, good buddy of mine. I mean, he has everything going on, it seems. Right now he's got the Grow Food Company, um, also edible landscaping, food forest, agroforestry. I mean, he kind of does it all. He does the centropic rows. You can see the landscaping that he does. Um, he's just a huge personality. Um, and he's really dedicated to all this. I mean, his property is amazing,
Yeah.
and he's really done, his whole property just in, I mean, the past I mean, maybe 3 or 4 years, but it looks like it's been there forever.
Hmm.
Um, all you know, Involved in the community. Have you had the pleasure of meeting Cam yet?
Yeah, I've met Cam several times down at Galt's. Actually, I ran into him, coincidence, at Natural Farm one day. So,
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's like his second home.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, you also definitely check him out. If you're in like the Orlando area, I mean, he's all over the place. I did a project with him in South Georgia, and I've done a project with him in Miami. So,
wow,
if you're anywhere in Florida, he's probably down to come check out your place and help you out. Um, I work with him a lot. I do maintenance for some of his clients. So if you want a giant food forest, they do designs too. That's one thing that I do not do. So if you want uh, a a nice layout, you know, on on paper, um, definitely hit them up and check out their pages, see what they're going on. They got a big collaboration with Ever Oak. I think they do a lot of
yeah,
informational stuff, like
yeah,
Mike's doing classes for them or something.
yeah. Well, wealth of knowledge, Cameron. So make sure you head on over and follow Cameron and the Grow Food Company and keep
And
that
then check
education
us
going.
out.
That's what we're doing here. So, uh, Sam, another great episode. Roselle kind of got into some of the different colors and flavors. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and hire you for consulting if they'd like?
Yeah, check out Central Florida Abundance on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And check out the Igo Family Farm if you're in Polk County and you want to get some Roselle yourself. They're in our harvest boxes. The black will be showing up as long as that works out in probably the next couple weeks, probably when this video is airing. So check out igofarm.com now and get your harvest boxes.
Excellent. And you can follow me, Mike's in the Garden, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. And new shirt. We just always dropping new shirts. This one is Spitting Facts.
Spitting
So
facts. I'm almost too young to understand what that shirt means. I
I could be dating myself, but I'm young at heart. So
love
um,
it.
yeah, definitely check out Mike's in the Garden, subscribe, Sam's channel as well, Central Florida Abundance. And if you want to get some really rad shirts, rad's probably an old word too, head on over to the Etsy shop.